Yo, author. You got ideas? Now you got 50K words in 2 hours. Used to take me months to write. Now I click once, draft done right. Story world, it's all in place. Test a chapter, win that race. One idea, one big spark. Dossier it, I leave my mark. No more waiting, no delay. Click it once, the novel slays. Your first draft, never gonna be the same. Oh no. One click, now I'm in the game. Let's go. 50K in under 2. Wrote my dream and it came true. Your first draft, never gonna be the same again. Never gonna be the same again. Never gonna be the same again. Your first draft, never gonna be the same again. Never gonna be the same again. Never gonna be the same again. Used to stress, used to stall. I'm dropping books like I dropped the ball. Story tight, the beats all hit. That first draft, yeah, it's lit. Build it up, test that scene. Click it once, living the dream. Authors rise, get that win. It's our time, let's begin. Your first draft, never gonna be the same. Watch me light up that flame. From plot to page and two. Story magic coming through. Your first draft, never gonna be the same again. Never gonna be the same again. Never gonna be the same again. Your first draft, never gonna be the same again. Never gonna be the same again. Never gonna be the same again.
Hey everyone! That was you drop. All right. Hey Stacy.
It doesn't feel like a YouTube live without like a Kello's deep voice and being
Oh,
called a
I'm sorry to
queen onto the
disappoint.
stage. I
I'm
know.
sorry.
You have to call me a queen. it's
Okay,
my weakest
okay.
week.
What's up, everybody? It's Friday, and we've got two queens here, Stacy and the EAW. That's the best impression I got.
That's the best. We don't need him at all. He can just stay in Hawaii now. No, Kello, that's not true. We need you back. But
No, we definitely need you back.
yeah, just look at the thumbnail I made.
Bonsoir, guy. Bonsoir. Okay.
Queen Elizabeth.
I prefer Empress. No, I'm sorry. It's Goddess Divine. So, we got 45 people in the house. I'm just going to tell you all like and subscribe. Please, please like the video. Jen BB's in the house. Love seeing you all. I felt like we needed to have something like really poppy because this weekend is the book camp, which is the trap. I trapped Stacy. She agreed to write one book. And then 2 weeks ago before the live, I got her to agree to write 3 books. And I'm really excited about the book camps that are starting tomorrow. Not because this is like the first time I've ever challenged myself to write 3 books live. Like I've done 1 book a lot of times, but 3 books? That's a new level. And balloons. Balloons, apparently, because it's going to be hard. Oh.
It's got 10 bucks.
Jen's in timeout.
Jen, don't give her ideas. Like she'll compromise with you and go, okay, we'll just only do 6 books.
We'll do
It
10.
could have been
Yeah,
10.
we'll do 5. We'll do
You're
7.
welcome.
Why not? Everyone's laughing at Jen. So I know I am doing paranormal women's fiction. I I never missed an episode of Buffy, which is more urban fantasy, of course. But I also loved Practical Magic. I feel like Practical Magic is, and also Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood. Like, I feel like those two movies and books really kind of helped me. I'm really excited about my project. I'm going to get into it more in depth, but I love writing family drama. April knows I love writing family drama. And believe me, I got some secrets and some dramas in my family. I think a lot of people do. For example, I had an uncle at a great uncle at a family reunion that when he started walking off, he's dead now, walking off with my sister, my aunt grabbed my sister and warned us girls not to be alone with him. Anybody got anybody like that in their family? Yeah. So I feel like this project is really kind of cool and cathartic, and I'm going to get more into it. But I'm doing paranormal women's fiction. I'm going to be doing 3 books. And so I'm going to be doing the deep, heavy stuff. So, but Stacy, your book camp is almost like the antithesis of my book camp.
Mine's a lot more light, and I'm doing
Yeah.
hockey romance. But we actually looked through the Amazon store, and we think I've settled on small town hockey romance. So it's going to be minor league, a lot of single dad, second chance romance. So that should be fun, just a lot lighter and not as. I'll let you get into it, but you were explaining to me the premise of your triple timeline. Oh gosh. Of course
It's
it has.
better.
It's been half a day. Why hasn't it? It'd be ridiculous for me to think this.
Yeah, it got better. It got better. So,
Okay.
and yes, that was the original genesis of the idea, and we'll talk about that, and then we'll explain how it morphed and it changed. But
Okay, no, because that's good. That was a lot to take on for a project or even a trilogy.
yeah, totally. Originally my story idea, and yes, I'm very sorry to hear that, Danny. I just saw that. Put it this way, took years of a shrink to get over it. I think a lot of us are in that camp. So for me, it wasn't that crazy great uncle. It was somebody who worked with my dad. But at any rate, I feel like women's fiction allows us to unburden things, a lot of injustices and a lot of just garbage, like finally, I feel like as a genre, it really allows you to just kind of get some things off of your chest. And I've noticed kind of a trend in what they're calling paranormal women's fiction, that it's actually more like there was a movement of lightheartedness in it. And I am kind of rejecting that and going back to the OG, the more historical components of it, the like family secrets component of it, like deep, dark, we've made bad choices. And now generations have to pay. So yeah, as Jay says, right to make it right. Exactly. Internalized pain. Yep. So that's my project, but it's going to be also some funny, lighthearted and fun, because I'm going to have some really cool relationships in mind. So, what, Stacey, made you choose your genre, the small town romance hockey?
Yep. Well, we went through first the K-Lytics reports and picked out some of the recent ones, and I just like sports romance, and the hockey one had come up within the last month or two. So that's how we chose that one, or started there. And then I went through Perplexity basically, and I've got this all recorded. I just need to upload it to my class, but how I went through. And found some niches in the genre that were because hockey romance, for those of you who haven't heard, is very competitive right now, or it's been competitive for a little while and it's only gotten worse. So it's a very tight, very competitive subgenre. So I wanted to look for a more niche area of that could possibly be more open. And while hockey romance has, higher TikTok visibility, better hashtags, that sort of thing, it has a lot more people using and competing for it.
Right.
Even in the Amazon store, it sells better, but there's way more people to get through the noise. Small town hockey romance is emerging. I wouldn't be the first one to do it by any means. Elizabeth and I, we recorded a video today going through the Amazon store. So it's gaining popularity. it'd be easier to write it with the AI because the heat level is brought down significantly from.
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah.
We were looking at the reviews, and it's like 3.5 out of 5, 3.75 out of 5, and we're like, what? What kind of spice rating is that?
Yeah. But again, I'll skim some of them, but they seem to be tasteful open door,
Right.
which somewhere between, and some of them are even sweet. So you can go sweet to tasteful open door, which is the foundational models can do tasteful open door anymore. So it seemed like an opening within this more crowded area.
Right. And I think that that is the key to being a successful mid-lister. We have a whole series of classes going out to the mastermind accelerator peeps this month and into next month called How to Read Like a Best-Selling Mid-List Author. We just did the RFPs for the Future Fiction Press, and we learned firsthand that we need to do more work in our academy about breaking down story, breaking down series. I'm going to be doing some of that work tonight, showing people step by step what I did in my conversation with ChatGPT. So you will get some great prompting and some great things here tonight for free. Of course, we want you to be able to be self-sufficient. And then if you'd like to come learn with us, we do actually have a link down in the description to your notes for the night, which goes to all about the Trilogy Trial Bookcamp. So let's talk a little bit about the housekeeping of this, because this is kind of a big project and we definitely did not throw it together at last minute.
No. And we'll start by saying, and Elizabeth's going to probably come back to this, Accelerator and Mastermind members, you probably all know by now, you can attend.
Don't buy it.
Yeah, don't buy it.
Don't buy
you can
it.
already attend. It should already be in your bundle. Some of the OGs just Discord message me, but it's included, so you guys can show up just fine. If you'd like to sign up for the Accelerator for $249, you can come to all of them. Please do that. Yeah, that's much easier.
Yep, much easier.
To get a free YFD token. You can buy them at a discount, and you can come to all of them.
Now, if you're someone who's like, I don't want a monthly fee, I want to buy the YFD tokens, and I want to learn one of these genres that Elizabeth or Stacy is doing, what you can do is any one weekend, because it's a 4-weekend event. So I have 2 of the weekends and Stacy has 2 of the weekends. My weekends work around F1 races. So I'm starting this weekend. So next weekend I'm off when we're going to Baku. I mean, priorities, right? At any rate, your first draft is definitely a game changer. That's what the song was about. We sold 101 boot camps for YFD. So those sold out. The $300 get started with YFD. People are loving YFD. And Jay says, anyone on the fence about YFD, treat yourself to a try. It's amazing. Thank you, Jay. Hear that, Mel? It's amazing. Mel's in the house, by the way. Mel is one of the masterminds behind YFD. She has done, if not the majority, like all of the blueprints that are available. At least the majority. I think some of them were from Christina as well. But the Trilogy Trial Bootcamps. This is a higher ticket priced item because we are, no kidding, teaching you how to go book 1, book 2, book 3 in a series that connects using YFD, how to write them, how to edit them across 2 weekends. Is that right, Stace?
Correct. And it comes with quite a few Dino tokens.
Exactly. And then we will be working in between the live sessions, but we will be recording those work sessions and putting them in your class so that you can literally watch us. For those of you who feel like you need to watch everything I do, I will be recording all of it. So this also puts me on a clock, which I need. So I have to get my butt in gear and basically get everything put together for these books and get through them and validate them and all that jazz. And then be able to put them down for a little bit to be ready to edit them going into the weekend on editing. So it's very exciting. I think so.
The original people that signed up back in
May. It's the original. It's original gangster. It's just those of us who grew up in the 90s. We say you're an OG if you've been there since day one. I am Accelerator. Where do we get the link, please? It is in the Future Fiction Academy. So it should be in your bundle. You'll be looking for the book camp, correct?
Yep, it's actually a separate course, so it's
a
not
separate
in.
course.
Yep, you should see it. Here, I'll actually put, this is the link to, I'll put that in the chat. The
Mhm.
first class. So if you have it, that should bring you to the first class. If you're not signed in, it'll prompt you to sign in. If you don't have it, it should bring you to the sale or tell you you're not enrolled. Would you like to? And give you a chance to sign up if you'd like to.
Yep. So the way it works, if you just want to come for one weekend, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so I can share like the visual that goes with it.
Much easier. That's why we had to make out this whole Notion page.
Share my screen. Here we go. Okay, we just put the link for how you get to the book camps, which is different from the boot camp. The boot camp was a separate thing outside of Mastermind, but we did make those classes available for you too. They are in the 1100s in your Future Fiction Academy Mastermind. We'll be working on doing some more structured YFD education, I think. Like probably breaking that off as its own section, I think, is what we're thinking about. But okay, so here is the link to your YouTube Live at the top here. And then this link is in your notes. It's in the description. So we are going to be working 8 hours over Saturday and Sunday. What time did we agree? Is it noon or is it 10 a.m.?
12 and 8.
Well, thank God.
No,
Okay. So
there was quite a few other classes. I think the film school is at 10 a.m.
That's right. I knew I had something at 10 a.m. in the morning. So women's paranormal fiction, tomorrow, September 13th and 14th, I'll be there at noon and 8 p.m. They will not be the same class. They will be different. We'll probably get like a rough recording linked up until it can be edited. So people have a chance to watch it before coming to the 8 o'clock one. I am going to be trying to keep them to an hour to hour and a half. Fingers crossed. So if you just want to come to one of these, each one of these is $1,000. If you just want to buy one, you can buy it for $1,000. That gives you 12 Dino tokens. Dino tokens are usually for Mastermind members, Accelerator members. It's $75 a token. So really what you're paying there for the most part is your token cost. If you were to go and click out your calculator and you multiplied 75 times 12, you would get $900. So it's $1,000 because we are no longer discounting the tokens for people who are outside of the Mastermind Accelerator. So that's why it's a little bit more. So it's $1,000 and most of that is your token cost. So you could just come to the writing one, or you could just come to the editing one, or come to the writing one for Stacy, or come to the editing one. Now, if you want to come to one whole weekend, like you want to come to all 4 dates of Paranormal's Women's Fiction, or all 4 dates of the hockey, instead of paying $2,000 for each one, or for the 2 weekends, you can get it for $1,500. See, we halved it. And then the best deal, obviously, is $2,500. You get 24 Dino tokens. 24. And you also get to come to all 4 weekends. And this is a one-time fee. You don't have to keep paying it or anything like that. The 24 Dino tokens are so that you have enough Dino tokens to do exactly what Stacy and I are doing, like following us step by step, or you can, and you also have enough tokens to do your own trilogies in both of those genres or different genres. So what you get is
that's enough for 4 trilogies, 12
yes,
books,
4.
and that are 30 to 40 chapters each, correct?
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to be doing 30 to 40. Yeah. You as well? 30?
I think I was at 32, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Okay. So what you get is 4 live sessions over Saturday and Sunday. This is the first time we're allowing, I mean, really YFD boot camp was like the first time we allowed non-accelerator mastermind people to come learn from us live, where you're in the Zoom room and you can ask questions and stuff and interact. This is the second time we're doing this because the first time was so successful. So this is like a way that you can come learn live and ask questions and interact without having to commit to the mastermind or accelerator. Recordings of everything that we're going to be doing off camera. So you're going to get those work sessions. Knowing me, I will probably say when my work sessions are so people can join me as long as they don't mind being on the recording because I'm not editing you out. Replays and lifetime access to all the materials. Lifetime, like, obviously, if the zombie apocalypse comes and Teachable is no longer available. Huh?
Life of Teachable.
Yeah, the life of Teachable. And you get 12 Dino tokens, 24 if you buy them both. And then you follow along. You could follow along with your own genre, or you could be doing the genres that we're doing. And then Accelerator Mastermind, again, basically the cheapest option to attend all of these things is the $249 a month, cancel anytime, come join the Accelerator, and you will get a free Dino token. And you can buy Dino tokens for $75 a piece, or it's actually, I always forget. Give me 1 second. Once you're in the Accelerator, the cost for Dino tokens for you all, share this tab instead, is 1 token $75, 10 tokens is $700, and 20 tokens is $1,300. So it's still a very big cost savings, even if you decide to go Accelerator route and you're still like, I want 24 Dino tokens. Like, you can literally get that for 75 times 4 plus 1,300 plus your 249 in the Accelerator. I lost it. What did I do?
It's too much math for a Friday night.
No, I've got it. It would be $1,849 to do all of it. So it is still cheaper if you really just want to join the Accelerator and come. It's $1,850 to do it all if you do it a la carte that way. So let me go back to this one. And let me come back to the studio. And oh, I should have zoomed in a really better there on that one. So let's see if we had any questions. So you're watching the thing. How long is book camp open to the public? We're probably going to leave book camp open to the public. I don't have any plans of taking it down.
Yeah, we'll probably leave it as a recording. Like,
yeah.
You obviously can't come to it live again, but, well, those ones, but.
Exactly. We're not going to keep repeating them, obviously. So, yes, the Education Library Accelerator members get 1 free Dino token per month. Absolutely. And then there was a question by M.A. Robbins that he's in Mastermind. He's been away for a while. How do I get into the book camps? Come tomorrow. All the information is in your Future Fiction Academy. Like, go to Teachable and it's its own class and you should be there. If it doesn't show up, ping Stacy with your Teachable email. Please, with your Teachable email, just DM her or email Dean at futurefictionacademy.com and we'll make sure that you're in there. Susan will say, we'll have to see if you're game to even try it again after this. I won't be, because next challenge will be 10 books. Jen already put down the gauntlet. Jen BB is going to have to join me for the next book camp. She already said 10 books. So we're going to have to do 10 novellas.
Backfired on you, Jen.
Jen's like, I did not agree to that. Madness. Indeed. But Jen goes, I should have expected that. Jen, we won't do 10 books until we build a tool to do 10 books. How about that? We'll do 10 books as the first test of when we have the serializer.
Now you just wrangled him into making a 10-book Velasa.
He always was. Yep, 10 books. And Jen says, deal. Oh, she's in. As soon as we have technology, as soon as we have a software that'll do it.
10 books in an hour.
It's in 1 hour. Go. I can do 10 books in an hour right now.
No, April's signing up.
Yeah, if it was 10 chapters.
April and Jen show. There we go.
Oh, she's bringing baby Leo for one. That's an inside joke for Sundays. Sundays now have a YFD community class, so that those of you who did boot camp and everything like that on Sundays, you can join Jen any Sunday afternoon, and she does a crazy YFD story and works on that. Can you explain what a Dino token does? That's a good question. Stacey, do you want to explain or you want me to?
Sure, I'll explain, and then when you probably share your screen, it'll be easier too.
Mm-hmm.
A Dino token is essentially a way we wanted to make it flexible. So your first draft can write essentially with the click of a button and some work or blueprint work, but it will write your book. But obviously how long it writes, a short story, a novella. I wouldn't do a short story with this. Actually, we do have short stories. They're free.
We do actually, and they would only cost you half a credit.
Yeah. But so a novella does not cost as much as a, fantasy, doorstop.
Mm-hmm.
So based on how many chapters it is how much a Dino credit would buy you. So I think it's something like 0 to not 0,
Okay, I'll do
1
that
to,
part.
yeah, I
Okay,
forgot
so
all
here's
that.
what happened. What happened was we knew authors.
Mhm.
Everything we do in the Future Fiction Academy is by authors for authors, and there was no way we were going to make something that is by a first draft. One of the first problems we knew that would come up is I want novellas and I want novels and I want like doorstopper novels, and no novella writer is going to want to pay the same amount of money as someone who's writing 100,000 word opus, right? That wouldn't be fair. And even the token costs is not that. So basically your token, your Dino token pays for your AI and also all the development on the back end and for the software. So you do not use your API key in YFD. You use mine. You're welcome. So so what we did is we started off with 1 token being enough for a novella and 2 tokens being enough for a novel. That was kind of like the thought process there. And then that got translated into chapters. Why chapters? Because a chapter represents 1 loop of the prompting. So a chapter could be anywhere between 1,500 to about 3,000, 4,000 words. If you pick Claude, which is all the charmed blueprints, you get a wordy little beast. So 1 token does 20 loops, 20 chapters, and that'll be anywhere between 35,000 words all the way up to 60,000 words. It just depends on how meaty your worksheet is, how much information you're doing. Trust me, plenty of people already tried to break it and try to make it do, not going to call anyone out, Eldon. Attempted to make it write like 4 chapters in 1 chapter. Don't do that. It doesn't work. So yeah, that's
Eldon out like that.
yeah, one token is 20 chapters or about a novella length. 2 tokens is 40 chapters, which obviously 40 times 3,000 words is about 120K. Basically, you can write as much as 150,000 words, keeping context and following your outline and all of that, because we do all of the magic that is easy peasy book machine plus a little bit of extra summaries and stuff. But it's not secret. You get all the logs inside of YFD. So you get all the prompting. So you could literally run 1 book in YFD and then be like, deuces, bye. I'm going to go run this manually and God bless you. If you would like to go do that, you can go run it manually with all the different prompts and toggling and all of that in any other in any other tool. So there you go. It wrote 2 scenes, even though I didn't tell it to. I think AI decides sometimes, yes. And Lois asks, are those word counts the final word count, or it runs as we do edits? Oh, no. You do not edit. It is hands-free. You run chapter 1 and then you click go and you are on that roller coaster ride. You get to edit chapter 1 to kind of like clean up the tone or whatever. But this tool is not for people who want to go chapter by chapter and fuss with it.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all have
If you
right.
are dead set on there has to be a pink and blue striped tabby cat in chapter 6 that wears a certain color hat or something like that, this is, bless your heart, this is not the tool for you.
Unless you stick it in your worksheet.
Even then,
there's a chance that it gets cut.
You have to leave room for the AI,
Yep.
because you are sending it off with the prompting and it's going from there. You get it back at the end.
Yes. As April says, keep your hands inside the right at all times and keep those tray tables in the upright position. It is the first draft. The stuff can be added later. And here's the thing. The first draft, it is so magical. I want to share Jay's stuff. They tell you can take it, leave it, knowing that if you try it once, you'll never leave. Jay says, I clicked go, did the dishwasher, put laundry in, cleaned the house, came back and sat down and had a book to edit. And that's really the magic of your first draft. I've been writing with AI in my books since December of 2020. Well, really since October of 2021, but published the first book with it in December of 2021. Stacey, you've been writing with it for years too, right? And you would classify yourself as a baker architect.
Yeah.
And so what we found is that as people got kind of caught up into AI writing, we may or may not have developed an affliction called just one more run and it'll be better than the last one. Or I know I need to try this with another model.
Yep.
Or I need to try this with
there.
Yeah. Never mind. I'm halfway through the book. A new model just dropped. I better start completely over and rewrite the whole book. So yeah, Hotel YFD. You can check in, but you can never leave. Bakers Unite. And Lois says, yeah, version 11. And then Susan goes, kit bash it all.
Well, you used to have the gladiator method where you couldn't make you had to make yourself not read it, and that's essentially what this is.
Yeah, that is the gladiator method. The gladiator method definitely influenced the YFD development of like, I needed something that would just run it. And really what this does is it creates a sunk cost. We don't have a sunk cost when we're working with AI, when we can just always click the button and get new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you have a full book to write, to edit, it's like, okay, but there's a sunk cost now because this is already done. So if I have to rerun it again, I'm negative another 2 hours versus will it take me less than 2 hours of extra editing to get this up to snuff? Because you're always going to have to edit it, right? So even if you were running it with AI completely, you would always have an editing cost. How many, like for me personally, editing a 50,000 word novel, if I'm going chapter by chapter, 30 chapters, it's usually 20 minutes a chapter. So let me do that math real fast. 30 times 20 is 600 divided by 60 minutes. Yeah, it's about 10 to 15 hours for me to edit a novel, to do a first round edit. What about you, Stace? How many minutes do you spend on a chapter if you're like editing chapters?
Same as you.
Yeah, like I sprint editing, you know? So then the question becomes like, am I going to have more than 2 hours extra? Because here's the thing. If you read the thing and you're like, this is broken, that's broken, I got to rerun it, you have to validate that one too. And that takes time. So I'm like, I'm already in it. I might as well fix it and move on with my life.
Yep.
So,
And if they're just like small tweaks, you could take just the chapter into Raptorite or wherever and just use the bracket method. Here's a couple, flush this out, take this down, add this here, boom.
yep, very much so. Very, very much so. All right. So 64 people in the house. Let's go ahead and like and subscribe. And Stacy, did you want to share your screen with Amazon and show how you did that just a little glimmer of how you did that keyword work for a small town hockey romance?
Yes, let me open a different browser so it's not my Amazon account, not just because I don't want to share my Amazon account.
No, but it'll be skewed.
My husband. Yeah, but it is skewed for those of you who don't know, the results are skewed based on your buying history.
Mm-hmm.
So I have just not an incognito browser, I have 18 million different Google emails and identities. So I'm going to figure out how to share my screen. Present, share screen, 1 second.
Sasha had to come in. While you're doing that, I'm going to answer a quick question by Lois. How do we ensure stories do not sound similar? So here's the thing. The prompting and stuff on your first draft is so extensive, and you get to bring your own ideas. And then we also have random word generators that also inject, if you're just like asking the AI to come up with something. We really did the hard work to make sure that it doesn't sound the same. And then you also can control it in the worksheet before you run the story. So if you want to see how YFD works, a few weekends ago, I did a live and I wrote Bridesmaids and Bourbon. So you can check that out on our channel. We show lots of things of how YFD works. Could you zoom in a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I always forget about that. Yep. There we go.
Okay.
So usually the first way I start, you can find keywords outside of any other specific software. There's great software out there that'll help you with this. But if you just
this is free.
Yeah, this is free. Just start searching and it'll show you. And you can see a hockey romance. It is so big. Hockey romance sweater. Like, that doesn't help me.
No.
So that's where I went to Perplexity.
So maybe fill in romance and see, because it'll get rid of it starts changing. And then if you do a space, it'll start changing it even more.
Yep. So start going more, maybe books, bookmarks.
But it's interesting if you delete that B. Merch and stickers are coming up, which means that tells me authors who are selling their things.
Yeah, that's
through
a popular search term for it.
Yep.
So I am going to put small town in front of this. So now we get small town hockey romance. And then now we start seeing, here we have single dad, sweet, small town, single dad, second chance.
And
small
it's literally
town.
bolding the words that are not the words that you were searching for. So you could see the other things that go with it.
Yep. Single
Now-
mom, a twist off the single dad. Yep.
Now, Stacy, if I wonder if this actually works, because here's the thing. I feel like no matter what you stick in there, it's going to come up with something. So surely there's like spicy small town.
So let's check.
No.
There is no spicy small town.
Maybe put the cursor at the end.
Small town hockey romance.
No, there's nothing. So you can also find things that don't exist. Like in
Yep.
terms of, which means that no one's searching for it. It's not in there. There's not going to be any results. I mean, even if you do that, if you press enter, it's going to give you some results, but it's not going to be a popular search term. So even if you do spicy, it's still giving me small town single mom romance.
It's just doing the best it can out of hitting 4 out of 5.
And then it's got body check, a spicy hockey romance.
But this also shows that people aren't searching for it.
Spicy and small town. So what happens if
Yeah.
you take small town out of hockey romance? Like if you just did spicy hockey romance and we see what comes up. What are the keywords that go with that?
So spicy hockey romance, books for adults, Kindle Unlimited.
hockey romance, spicy, gay hot, spicy romance. So it will
Plus
plus
size, yep.
size. It will tell you what goes with what if you take the time to go look at it.
Yeah. So if you are dead set or you really want to do spicy or you have a killer idea for a single dad, this way you can see
Small town goes right there.
small town goes right there. So if you want to do single dad hockey romance,
Sexting the single dad a silver fox hockey romance.
so just by
Oh.
starting to search.
June says try steamy hockey romance. Let's see if anything comes up there.
Oh yeah.
That's a good thing. Words matter.
Yep. So
Not
what
as
did we do for
much.
spicy was much more.
Maybe try small town with that one. See if small town comes up. Nope.
Nada. Nope.
So, I mean, it doesn't mean that you can't have a steamy small town hockey romance. It's just understand that this is not a search term that Amazon has encountered any readers looking for. So the chances of readers finding your book are not
Less.
0, but pretty close to it.
Yeah. Less than optimal for you're bringing in everyone yourself.
So here you have, if you go back up to the top there, small town hockey romance, it says that there's 2,000 results. Over 2,000 results, Stacy. So are you going to have to compete with 2,000 books?
No, not necessarily. So
For
if we come down
visibility?
here, we have in the last 30 days, we have 117 that were published.
Oh, and how many go on the hot new release list?
100.
It's 100. It's 100, but it would be sports romance. So there would
Yeah,
be other
under
sports in there.
romance, yeah. But people, a lot of Amazon, especially the whale readers, are very savvy on how to get to these pages because they know what they want.
Yep.
And even if it's not, even if you can rank well on just a popular search term, that can do well also.
Oh, June says dark hockey's getting reads.
Oh,
So
yeah.
let's see dark hockey romance. Although now I'll notice that I will point out that you're into books. It already moves you to books. You may have to change it.
Oh,
back
yeah. I
to
might
the
have to
store.
go. Well, this should. Oh, no. I'll do all departments. There we go.
Yeah. Now we have billionaire hockey romance, spicy hockey romance, mafia romance, dark hockey romance free, alpha hockey romance, reverse harem hockey romance.
Yep. And actually, when I did my perplexity research, it had like a dark mafia hockey combo or a sweet town or small town hockey combo.
Yeah.
And I just had enough with dark lately, so I decided
I
to
want you to
go.
remove romance from your search, but I don't understand why. June, why do you want romance removed? We're writing romance books. If she searches dark hockey, it's just going to be like
Oh, it
dark
did bring up
hockey,
some like. Then it brought up like bully
bully
romance.
romance. Yeah, but then you also get things like dark hockey
Merch.
jersey.
Yeah. So while you're here, it can not hurt to check it, but
Add mystery. Let's find out. Let's see if there's any dark hockey mystery books, shall we? That's
Nope,
a
at least not people searching.
no. That's a no. And I think that's the interesting thing about store shopping. Like, this is how you can actually shop to see what your genre should be or what you're looking for.
Yep. And then
People are
again,
loving the pun of puck in the chat.
yeah, and you kind of want to overlook the sponsored because they can self-select into the incorrect categories or just might not show up. So keep that
Or
with a
just
grain of
skew
salt.
it to make you think that it's more popular than it is. But in
Yeah.
that case, that's a book that came out July 29th with 5,000 reviews. I'm going to say that Laura Pavlov is probably really well vested in, she's got a very big newsletter and all that. So
Yes.
she would be an author that I would check out, but I would not click on her name because I'm not going to charge another author money. I would search her name and then go click that way.
Yep. But here you can see, so we have some of the illustrated covers. You can get an idea of covers and tropes and different settings. So then you want to dig into some of the reviews. Like I said, we were trying to see how steamy, like if there were anything from completely sweet, how much can we get away with? So that's when we'd go through claimed by the captain. So it only has 10 ratings. But sometimes you can go through and I should have picked one with more. 214, starting over with you. This is actually one we looked at earlier. So
yeah, it got my attention about the beer league and
the
the
beer
dad
league
bod.
and the beer deli.
Yeah, the dad bod. I was like, wait a minute, that caught my attention.
Yep, and then you can go and check. Sometimes they'll have the AI.
It was
generated.
book one in that. It's book one in that series that has the reviews, not that has the. If you go in those series, you can click on it.
Yep, but this one had this was the
3.5 out of 5.
But again, you never know. Someone who's used to steamy dark romance might put it at a 2, or someone who's used to sweet would put it at 3.5. But that probably means there's at least some open door, but tasteful. Yep. So check out we even did a control F for like steamy or spice, hot.
Yeah,
like
nothing
that.
came up in the reviews. So you can check the reviews for a specific keyword.
Yep. Oh, see, book one did have it. Where is it?
Yeah. So book one, if you scroll down, it'll have.
Yep. Here's what customers say.
And it'll, the recap. Can you go to Erin's a book by Jolie Vine so we can see what customers say about that? Just a contrast that it will tell you. Jolie Vine's, Erin's Obsession. There we go. Now, if you look at something like this, which I know is a dark romance, you can see customers find the book storylines engaging with a murder mystery plot that keeps their attention, and they appreciate how it stays with them for days. Moreover, the book features strong character development with drama between all characters, and customers describe it as a well-paced read with lots of spicy scenes. Additionally, the romance is romantic in a brutal way, and customers praise the writing quality, with one noting how it evokes emotional responses. So they will, like the AI that Amazon is using, generating the text, it will pick up elements of spicy and stuff if it's in multiple reviews. Yep. And people think that this is a new thing, but Amazon has been summarizing and putting. Y'all remember tags? Remember tags? You could tag books.
Oh, and then that was a while ago.
Then they took that away from us because people abused it. So then they were like, they derived the tags from your reviews. So this is technology that Amazon has had long before ChatGPT ever existed, in terms of algorithmic processing of words to understand what goes with what. So there we go.
Okay. Yep. And we have a video on that where we went through it together. And then I have where I did it in Perplexity, and I'll have my brainstorming a little bit afterwards on video, because I'm.
So if someone wanted to write those hockey romances and they had never read a hockey romance, what would you recommend that they do after they do that searching in the store?
Go read the first. Go read a couple of them.
Go find the ones that, like, if you know you want not spicy, you look for the ones that don't have spicy, that have sweet in there, and then you go read a couple of them so you can see how it's handled.
Yep.
So
yeah. the ways we show you is a different way just to narrow it down, maybe narrow it down further by your tropes, something like that. And then finally, yeah, read the top couple of popular ones.
Yep. Now I'm going to do an incognito window for my search. Just because I can't be bothered. I don't have another browser. I don't have another screen. I'm not cool like Stacy. I'm not cool.
I don't even want to say. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, at least 12 Chrome identities.
So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go incognito on mine. Maybe. Which one? I think it's this one. Yeah.
50 Shapes of
Nope,
Punk.
that is not it. Okay, apparently I did go to Amazon already in my incognito window. My bad. Share screen. Share the Amazon. Okay, share. So I am in incognito mode, which means that all it does is knows my zip code from my IP address. They can get that at any time. So if you really think incognito is secret, it's not. It's not. Now mine is a little bit of an interesting thing. So I can search paranormal women's fiction. And as soon as I start typing paranormal women, you can see I get paranormal women's fiction as being the top search, then fiction free, fiction mystery, fantasy, cozy mysteries, fiction fantasy, midlife paranormal women's fiction. Midlife is a common keyword that people use. Paranormal gifts for women and paranormal outfits for women. I'm going to go ahead to paranormal women's fiction and I'm going to zoom in because I understand that you probably can't see very well. And we can see BR Kingsolver, some here, and we can see these midlife witchery, Brenda Trim, Deborah Wild, Throwing Shade, Silver Spells. These are some of the new ones that are out. And they look more fantasy to me than women's fiction necessarily. I hope that makes sense. So this one, the Midlife Bed and Broomstick, a paranormal women's fiction, mine is not really going to be about this kind of lighthearted, campy kind of a thing. I'm going to go for kind of like more of a saga and go deeper on that. So that was an interesting thing for me to kind of find because this genre kind of straddles a whole bunch of different other genres. And you'll notice that there's only 443 results that even come up for paranormal women's fiction. Now, let's see what happens if I search women's fiction and the keyword witch. Now there's 20,000 results. So which do you think is the bigger pull in terms of getting an audience, paranormal women's fiction or women's fiction with witches?
Women's fiction with witches.
Women's fiction with witches. So that's what I really wanted to look at because I definitely want to do that. I also took a look at this first Witch of Boston because my book idea is actually from some local folklore that I've talked about before. It's going to, it's not going to be the Witch of Pungo's story, but it's going to include that folklore into it. So that was something that I was really excited to say, hey, there's something kind of like what I'm thinking a little bit. But then you have like the Honey Witch, and this is more in the vein of what I was kind of thinking of where I was going with this. So let's take a look at the Honey Witch and let's see what this thing is. The Honey Witch of Innisfree can never find true love. That is her curse to bear. But when a young woman who doesn't believe in magic arrives on her island, sparks fly in this deliciously sweet debut novel of magic, hope, and love overcoming all. So this has got a twist, I think, of being sapphic, which is great, you know? So these are more in the line of what I'm looking for me personally, although I don't really want to write a 21-year-old. No, thank you. But all the power to them. Now, what's really interesting is that you can go to the categories here up at the top, and this is where you can start to go into the categories on the left-hand side. It's really hard to get to this. You have to kind of click on a book and then find that it's in the categories. I'm going to go back to literature and fiction. Oh, no, curses. Okay, I'll go to the women's fiction one. I should be able. Literature and fiction. I just want to go to women's fiction. I hate that they got rid of all of the things on the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the pinnacle works that most of us who grew up on paranormal women's fiction, you mostly saw the movie, But Alice Hoffman is a great paranormal women's fiction writer. So Practical Magic is one of those genre defining books, you know. It's a tentpole title for the genre. And this is trad pubbed, and then other books came. I would also say A Discovery of Witches. That leans a little bit more with like the urban fantasy aspect of it, but it's not. It is in the same line of Practical Magic, in the sense of this idea that magic has a cost for the people who wield it. And down here, I can see that it's actually put into contemporary fantasy, and that kind of surprised me. So I was like, okay, you know, the K-Lytics report focused on paranormal women's fiction, but I would classify paranormal women's fiction to be practical magic, and then practical magic isn't even in women's fiction at all. So I'm trying to understand where these books live in the store for readers to find them. And when I come to contemporary fantasy, I find out it is like a hodgepodge of all kinds of stuff in here, in the sense that we have the amazing books by Matt Dinniman, with Dungeon Crawler Carl. We love him. Absolutely. But then you can see the very secret society of irregular witches is in here as well. And A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. Those books look, they're by the same author, and I could tell that right away from the covers. But if I come over The Vampire in the Potting Shed, I need to read that too. Hold on. I got to save it. This is a hazard. It's a hazard of work. Groom and Doom. Okay, so coming over to new releases, this is what Stacy and I looked at before. We're now in the bestseller list. So your hot new release is anything that came out in the last 30 days or is on pre-order. Immediately from these top 4, I do not see any cohesion at all amongst these stories. Do you, Stacy?
No, we have more cozy than that one's obviously more urban.
Yeah, this is more like academy, vampire, or urban fantasy.
College,
This one, I think, is just an erotica that.
Yeah, New Age college or erotica.
And then this one is a wedding catastrophe, so it's got to be like a comedy of errors or a cozy mystery or something.
Either cozy mystery or rom-com, yeah.
We have Ink, Blood, and Other Afflictions. That looks like it's almost like a graphic novel, perhaps. Anne Bishop, Turns of Fate. That one looks more like possibly women's fiction of like what I'm trying to write, so I'll right-click and open that one. Thief of the Night, The Charlatan Duology. Interesting. That looks like contemporary fantasy too. And Alchemy of Secrets. I would think that has some kind of tie with the 1920s or something with that font selection. But I
don't know. Stephanie Garber writes young adult.
Okay.
She wrote Carnival, which I love.
Share this tab, and this is her adult one. So that's why it looks different.
Yep.
The hotly anticipated adult debut novel by the beloved New York Times bestselling author of Caraval and Once Upon a Broken Heart series. So a contemporary fantasy kicking off a brand new series. It starts with a class at an old movie theater. Folklore 517, local legends and urban myths taught by a woman called the Professor. Most students believe the professor's stories are just fiction, but Holland St. James has always been convinced that magic is real. So we do have magical realism. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of in line with some of the things because I'm going to be using local folklore about the Witch of Pungo to include in mine. So it's not the exact same, but mine is like, what if the urban legends you heard are real?
You called it right from the cover, and
I had that now.
I did, but I was waylaid by the author. She writes young adult.
She writes young adult. She's got alcohol in her hands. That is not a young adult cover. But that's how important covers are.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Vampires in the Potting Shed. I've got to read that one too. I can't wait for that one. All right, I wanted to take a look at the Turns of Fate. So Isle of Wired, book 1. Make your choice, change your fate. A young detective investigating crimes of uncanny will learn that bargains can change your fate for good or ill in the darkly enthralling fantasy from New York Times bestselling author of Others and the Black Jewel series. Okay, so this is kind of cool, interesting. Not exactly what I was doing, but it is similar to my story. This one's much longer. This one's 528 pages. Compared to the Alchemy of Secrets one, share this tab. That one doesn't have a page, 328 pages. And then The Thief of the Night, I'll share this tab instead. This is 280 pages. So there's definitely like a wide variety of where this contemporary fantasy is kind of living. And the reason I was zeroing in on contemporary fantasy is because when I come down here, this was the coolest part. I'm going to come down to page 2. There's 100 books. There was not 100 books earlier today. I can tell you that right now. But if I open up this last book, Working Class Vegas Vamp, so we'll go to this tab, share this tab instead. You kind of want to look at what it takes to rank on the hot new release list. So this book just came out August 28th, and this is no shame to this author whatsoever. This book just came out, so I would expect it to have a high sales ranking. But you're looking to see how competitive it is. I only have to rank in 357,000 in order to make it on this hot new release list. That is much easier. Okay, then I'm going to come back to the I'm going to come back to Amazon real fast. And let's look for those midlife books, those midlife paranormal women's fiction like K.F. Breen, etc. But let's look at, I'm not going to click on the Deborah Wild one because it's a sponsored one.
Seeing the wrong tab.
Oh, thank you. Share this tab. I won't click on the sponsored. Be kind. Don't click on the sponsored. So I'm going to come down here to this Midlife Bed and Broomstick by Jennifer L. Hart. She's also really well established in this genre. And then I'm going to come down to the hot new to look at the bestseller rankings where they're hanging at. Women's fantasy fiction. So that is a bestseller list. And if I click on that one, and then I go to, and you can see this is where a lot of these are living. Which Way After 40, Silver Spells, a paranormal women's fiction, Fated to the Beast, The Wielder's Discovery, Midlife and Bed and Broomstick, Potion, Pause, and Peril, although that's a witch cozy mystery. But this has more of those. It's also got kind of a hodgepodge going on here too. Wait, that's it? Oh, that's why there's only 27 books on this one. So they don't even have 100 books to fill this. What is this? Kindle eBooks, women's fiction, fantasy. Oh, top 100 free. That's why. I was like, wait, no. Sorry, everyone. Top 100 paid. Okay. Espresso Yourself. The Twisted Crown trilogy also came up in paranormal women's fiction. Shannon Meyer's a huge author in paranormal women's fiction. So there's quite a bit. There's the Deborah Wild book. There's the Lula Ward, Charms and Chocolate. A lot of these books, like Charms and Chocolate, Jenny Swan's books were heavily featured in the K-Lytics report. So if I come down here, sorry, I'm going fast. We are on women's fiction fantasy. And I come to page 2. And I come all the way down to the bottom. It's a long bottom. We have Meat. And then I'm just coming down to look at the bestseller list. 39,000 in the paid Kindle store. That's to be on the bestseller list. So that's pretty competitive. If I come to the hot new release list, which is always up here with new releases. Sorry, I'm scrolling so fast. Again, I just want to go down to the bottom because I want to go see what it takes for number 100 to be on this list. It just needs to beat 300. If it beats 355,000 in the paid Kindle store, then that means this is less competitive. Oh, it is less competitive because there's only 99 books. This must be the one that we were looking at.
Yeah, probably.
Yep. And then this one is 2 million in the paid Kindle store. So what that means, I'll stop sharing. All that crazy frenetic work on Amazon is if I target contemporary fantasy, I can reach a larger share of people. And then women's fiction fantasy, pretty much if the book makes one sale, it's going to sit on that hot new release list for the first full 30 days. And then I can go ahead and have book 2 on pre-order, have that have a sale or whatever, and it'll also sit on the hot new release list for days. So
just buy your own book.
Yeah.
Audible too.
Oh, this is funny. Audible too. My God, I don't want to get audited over spicy books and have the titles read back to me in bankruptcy court. I've been to bankruptcy court. They don't do that.
No, Jay was asking if books are tax deductible.
They are. But I have actually had to file for bankruptcy after my divorce, and I had to keep my books. And thankfully, divorce just ruined me in so many ways that my books had not done well. Like, you have a certain, when you go file for a personal bankruptcy, you have a certain amount of assets that you're allowed to declare as, like, they don't require you to give your shirt off your back. You have something that's like $12,000 or something like that. So they had to value my books, right? And this was the funniest conversation I ever had with my lawyer. And I did not lie, never lie, but he asked me about what my value of my inventory was. And I'm like, inventory? I'm an indie. I don't have any inventory. He's like, well, you're paperbacks. I'm like, I don't have any paperbacks. I sell ebooks. And then he's like, okay, how would you sell your catalog? I'm like, well, you'd probably need an account on Dirty Discourse because it's the only place I know that even buys catalogs of books. And I don't even know that that's a thing anymore. And he's like, wait, what? And he literally wrote that down and like submitted it to the court that you have to like get an account at the thing.
On Dirty Discourse.
Yes. So then we go for my hearing, right? And it's COVID. So I'm having to do the hearing over the phone and everything like that. And the judge is, they process people like cattle in a bankruptcy court, in case you were wondering. So they're going through all these people and they're asking the exact same questions. So then it's my turn and I'm prepared to answer all my questions, and you just answer the questions truthfully. Don't lie. And I did not lie. And the judge was like, wait a minute. There's books here listed. And I was like, yes, sir. I write Pride and Prejudice fan fiction books. So they're public domain. They're based off public domain and, you know, and all that. And he goes, oh, them's them romance books. I said, yes, sir, they are. And he goes, okay, yeah, that's worth nothing. I did not correct him. Yep. They're worth nothing. At the time, they weren't worth very much because I hadn't published a book in a few years, and it wasn't selling gangbusters or anything like that. But just so you want to know, that's how bankruptcy court works. All you got to tell them is that they're romance books, and so they won't look closer. As Kimberly says, there's strength in being underestimated. Yep, I disclosed everything. It's not my fault you didn't listen. Okay. So let me talk about what I plan to do for my project. Or did you have, I know I went through that really fast, but did you see anything that was kind of interesting about paranormal women's fiction and how it's kind of like all over the place?
Yeah. So it's all over the place.
Do what you want.
Yep. Do what you want, and you can find a spot for it to land.
Right. Look for ways to attract readers who might be interested in what you're doing.
But if you're not writing that more campy, like that, I don't even know how to describe it, but if it's definitely more on the women's fiction family saga, you would be better off, even though for our sake, we can call it paranormal women's fiction. For marketing, I would put it in contemporary fantasy or the the literature, women's fiction fantasy.
Yeah, I would too. I still would call it paranormal women's fiction, because it is. Mine are witches, but I would include witches in there. So women's fiction, witches, contemporary fantasy, family saga.
Family saga, things like that.
So, if you guys could we're at 1 hour in, I'm going to now show you a little bit of my brain. So this is the part that you came for. In your notes is a link to a ChatGPT conversation, and I'm going to go through it with you step by step with Stacy. And we'll discuss some of the questions that I asked and what I was going for. So this conversation I did, the first thing, I am a scholar of the Witch of Pungo. So let me start there. The Witch of Pungo is Grace Sherwood. Believe it or not, Virginia actually did have a number of witch trials, but our witch trials were more sane, if that's even a thing, compared to Salem. So Salem happens at the end of the 1600s. Grace Sherwood was ducked in 1706. Now, I've talked about this on the live before. We have a road here in Virginia Beach called Witch Duck Road. And yeah. That's why.
That's actually connected to anything.
Kempsville Road turns into Witch Duck Road as you cross over Virginia Beach Boulevard. When I was in 3rd grade, that's when they teach all about the Virginia folklore and about the lighthouse and all this other stuff and the Norwegian lady and all the things. And we had literally a woman dressed up as Grace Sherwood come to our class and literally lied to us about all the urban myths and legends about Grace Sherwood, that she came over in an eggshell, that she brought rosemary to the colonies, that she was an herbalist, and that she was tried for witchcraft because of the herbalist stuff. That is not the story at all. That is not what happened. There are some interesting things about the story of Grace Sherwood. There is a Notion page for this. It's in your it's in the description, Krista.
It's
So
the sales page at the bottom of it.
Yeah, it's the notes page up at the top. So Grace Sherwood, the way I pitch her story to everybody, and I always get people interested in it, is she was tried for witchcraft. She survived and she got her land back. She was tried for witchcraft, found guilty, survived, and got her land back. Isn't that crazy for a witch story?
Yeah, none of them survived.
Yeah.
Trial.
Not only did she survive, she got out of jail and she got her land back. And Tim Kaine pardoned her in 2006 on the 300th anniversary of her ducking. Yeah, it's bonkers. It's banana pants. And she has stayed with me my whole life. I did reports on her. Like, I always was like, this is some crazy stuff right here. Well, when you actually research it, you find out that she kind of married beneath herself. Her father owned 100 acres of land. And people in the Pungo area, they were land poor. They had land, they had crops, but the economy, 1706, Jamestown was founded in 1607, to put it in perspective of where this all happens and everything. And so they had 100 acres down there by Back Bay. Her father dies, and I was just watching a lecture from Professor Scott Moore, who just did a book on the Witch of Pungo, by the way. Yeah, as April says, land rich, money poor. He went through the estate of her dead husband, John Sherwood, and it kept saying like old trunk, old this, old bed. And he's like, that's key words for they inherited it from her family. It wasn't his. And then they put one like a scrangly and mangled horse on the list too. Like, they were very colonial records, man. They're a hoot. Apparently a pastime in colonial Virginia, in case you didn't know, was everybody was suing everybody else for slander and defamation because they were still under England's rule, England's laws. So this is before the Revolution. We're living as Englishmen in Virginia or whatever, and you're bored and you live in this little town, and you know what? You slandered me. I'm going to sue you. So the neighbors accuse Grace of witchcraft. And it's things like she snuck in the lock and rode my back like a black cat and left scratches and slipped back out through the keyhole. Like, it's really bonkers stuff. I'm like, these people were swingers. They were all screwing everybody else. Everybody was pucking everybody else. That has to be what was going on. Because it's very much like the women were so against each other. And Elizabeth Hill actually assaulted Grace Sherwood. And her husband, Lucas Hill, had to... Grace Sherwood took them to court for being assaulted. They ruled in Grace's favor, but Grace Sherwood was like kind of like an outsider of the community because she had sued these people so many times and she had lost. She finally wins because she's assaulted. The head jury guy doesn't sign off on the settlement, so she doesn't get her $66. It never goes through. At any rate, in 1706, things come to a head. Her husband's dead. She's got 3 boys, and the witchcraft thing goes. And they really didn't like trials of witchcraft. Like, they had to do them because it was the law, but they were like, this is bunk. This is bonkers. This does not make any sense. And they went through 2 juries of women to find witch marks on her. Because the first juries of women were like, nah, she's fine. They're like, that's it. Get back in there and do it again. So legend has it, 1706, they tied her thumbs to her toes. They crisscrossed it. So right thumb to left toe, left thumb to right toe. Threw her in the water in the Lynnhaven River. Threw her in the water and she came up. So then they tied a Bible around her. They threw her in the water again and she came back up. And that meant she was guilty because they believed the water was pure and that it wouldn't accept a witch. That was
Yeah, I always remember, like, if you were innocent, you would
you
drown
died.
to death.
Yes.
Yeah,
If you were guilty,
and they would
you-
apologize to your corpse, essentially.
yeah. Actually, they looked at it as good job, you've shuffled off this mortal coil. Enjoy God. Yeah. So she gets put into the jail, and legend says that there's a greater deluge will get you, and then there was a big storm. But the crazy thing is that records, we don't really know what happened, but somehow or another, this woman got out of jail, and she owed some man, another guy, like $600 or something like that, 600 pounds of tobacco or something like that a few years later. And by 1714, she had her land back because she was paying back taxes on it. So, and here's the craziest part of the story, I think. Guess how old Grace Sherwood was when she died? She was born in 1660. She was 46 or so, 47 when they ducked her. She lived to 80 years old in the 1700s. Yeah. I'm like, what? Good job, lady. Good job.
Yeah.
So, okay. So where am I going with all of this? So these are some of the story ideas that I have, and I wanted to do something that was multi-generational, that is something along the lines of like the descendants of Grace Sherwood are still living on the land, and there's still these rules. And then there's other things that I'm incorporating too. Have you ever heard of the Lost Colony, Stacey?
Yeah.
Yeah. So before 1607, in the late 1500s, they actually dropped some people off in the Outer Banks, and they disappeared, and all that was left was an ocracoke on the tree. So I'm going to go ahead and share my ChatGPT. Okay. Now you guys have this link. I'm going to go up to the very tippy top, and I'm going to close that out to make it easier for you guys to read it. Is that nice and big, or do I need to make it even bigger? Bigger? I heard bigger. Okay. So I want to write a 3-book series, paranormal women's fiction books, similar in vein to Alice Hoffman's Practical Magic. I'm not asking you to do exactly like that. I'm just trying to define what I'm looking for. This series should take place in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I like ideas around the magic of the swamp, connecting it to errors made at Ocracoke. So the witches of colonial Virginia did something better. Something about protecting the lands from and taking magic from the swamp. Each book will be 30 to 40 chapters, and I want it to be a strong story that's plausible magical realism. So this is a good example of what you're trying to do when you might hear people say, give the AI a brain dump. Have you heard that too, Stacey?
Yeah, I say it all the time.
Yeah. And some people, I think that means like this really vague stuff, but can you see how many keywords I stuck in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're brain dumping, yes, but remember you're talking to a robot. So you don't even necessarily, like, some of these things are just like something about protecting the lands. Huh?
Yeah, it doesn't need to be cohesive. They're not a person. They're just looking for snippets. So if you just
Exactly.
word vomit at them, they're fine.
Yep. So here's some ideas I have. So this is true. Elizabeth Barnes was a beggar. And actually by Muddy Creek Road, where they think that Grace Sherwood's farm was, there's another place there called Beggars Bridge Creek or something like that. And I was like, oh, interesting. At any rate, so Elizabeth Barnes was real, and there's accounts that she begged for buttermilk and was told it was for the pigs, and then the pigs died, and then she asked another guy for beer, and the beer went sour. And Professor Scott Moore, Dr. Scott Moore, was talking about this in the lecture, which you can watch it on YouTube, about the Witch of Pungo. This is actually more about society and the fact that, you know, people would look down on people who they deemed maybe didn't work hard enough or whatever, but, you know, there wasn't a whole lot. So you would share with your neighbors, you know, if you have the buttermilk and I've got the beer, we're going to trade, or I've got the pigs and you've got the tobacco, we're going to trade. It wasn't an economy of money yet. Not really. Everything was goods. You paid your taxes in pounds of tobacco, to put it succinctly. So I have all this information about her. I said my 3 characters, I'm doing a kind of a twist. So this is where I'm doing a little bit interesting, because this is really common down here where I grew up. 2 sisters and a cousin. So the cousin is the middle, closer in age to the eldest sister, and always in the middle, and plays the middle child role. So I'm like, the mothers were sisters who died doing witchcraft. The grandmother raised them. Not a cute grandma, but a chain-smoking, harsh disciplinarian meemaw. So anyone else have one of those? I didn't have one of those. Well, I did, but I never was around her. She was my mother's stepmother. But my friends, I can remember my friends having grandmas that scared the dickens out of me when I was younger. Like, these were not kind grandmothers. The 3 characters, the eldest learns to love again, slow burn, second chance. The youngest learns to love her family again. And the middle cousin learns to love herself, and it should be fine success for herself. So what do you think of the brain dump, Stace?
I just want to point out, well, one thing. Like I said, this is why we have both me and you doing this.
Mhm.
You went into a whole background story of Virginia, and I have this idea based on these witch trial and this and that. You know what I came into with hockey romance?
What?
It should have hockey in it.
It should not be in it.
Single dad, maybe he has a kid. Like, I don't come to, but I'm just showing I went through a completely different process just to get to this point.
Mhm.
So I think that's the benefit of having both of us do that. How do I take too many ideas and slim them down? And mine is, how do I take not enough idea and build it up? So
yes, I'm very much like, I have all these ingredients to make soup. Help me make soup. And
I brought a carrot.
and you brought a carrot. But I mean, this is why we're doing these book camps, right? Because we knew that we come at this from different angles. And that's why we thought it was the best thing of, like, you can go this weekend with me, you can go that weekend with her, and it's different genres. I hope to do them again. I'm excited to write some other genres. So
yeah, for
there
sure.
we go.
But this is great. This is a great
Peek into my brain.
Here. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see what the AI does. Perfect setup for women's fiction. You've got the mix of family legacy, magical realism, history, and the emotional second half of life journey that's central to the genre. So this is something that I would keep as, like, thank you, ChatGPT, for putting it in terms I wanted to say. I want to do family legacy, magical realism, history, and emotional second half of life. And so it's like, let me sketch a series, concept, magic system, and 3-book arc for you. Okay, I didn't actually like the first one. I liked the beginning of this. Series concept, the Tidewater Witches. Premise, 3 women bound by blood, loss, in a legacy of swamp-born magic inherit the sins and strengths of their foremothers, the witches of colonial Virginia. That's a pretty good hook.
Yep. I like swamp-born magic. That just has a ring to it.
Swamp. What? And then the witches of colonial Virginia. What? So you've got this really cool thing here. Their family's tangled history begins with Grace Sherwood and other accused witches, women who made a bargain with the land itself, protect the coastal swamps, and in return, the swamp protects them. But bargains are never perfect, and centuries of hidden magic, suppressed grief, and unhealed wounds now rise with the tide. The series blends magical realism with women's journeys, love, lost and found, family repaired, etc. So we have this magical lore system, the early witches, the Great Dismal Swamp, which is actually a real thing. And people try to drain it all the time, by the way. George Washington was actually part of a pyramid scheme to drain it in the 1700s. Cost of magic, something always spoils, dies, or sours when magic is used. Where do you think that came from in my brain dump?
The practical magic. Isn't
actually the Elizabeth Barnes story. She begged for buttermilk and was told it was for the pigs, and the pigs died. She asked for beer and the beer went sour. Yep.
There you go.
The family's foremothers created a covenant, protect the swamp from being drained, burned, or desecrated, and it will sustain them. Now modern development threatens to undo it all. Developers storm, climate change, awaken the bargain. And, you know, this is, a lot of people will get to this and go like, cool, my job is done. This is enough. Me, this is still way too vague. I don't like the idea that there's developer storms and climate change. Like, that's too many. That's not
something you can point at.
Right.
For the point you bring it to your first draft, you could say it is this that is the
Mhm.
problem.
Yep.
And if you're still vague, you need to work that out before you bring it to YFD.
So here we have the eldest. It does book 1. The eldest sister learns to love again. Slow burn, second chance romance. The women inherit Meemaw's house after her death, and cleaning it out, they uncovered grimoires, swamp jams, and records of the family's old bargain. But when the eldest uses the magic, she sours her new life. Her rekindled romance with a high school flame is at risk of rotting, just like the spoiled beer. Meh. I mean, it's okay, but wait till you see how deep I got it. So I just want you guys to remember, and it's okay if those of you who are reading this, you probably look at this and go, that's good, right? Like that's enough. But I like to go deeper with my AI. So book 2, it does the youngest sister learning to love her family again, rebuilding bounds. A storm surge awakens a drowned witch bound in the marsh, an ancestor whose bitterness threatens to break the family pact. The ancestor thing, I'm working with all this, so it does spur my ideas on, because I literally, when I started this, only had the ideas of the top part. And Stacey can attest to that, because I had a completely different idea. And then this cousin's in the middle, a corporate political alliance intent on paving the wetlands, paired with the swamp's wrath, triumphant, cathartic, and summer climax. Yeah, I could see where people would like this, but this isn't really what I want to write. It's not wrong. It's just not what I want to do, you know? And so it was like, you want me to start building you? And I was like, no. We need better stories for the women, and the slow burn romance shouldn't reconcile until book 3. Let's brainstorm 5 ideas of the big thing the women need to resolve over 3 books, and maybe think about failures of the mothers and grandmothers that have led to this. So you have this shared so that you can see how it immediately wanted to get nitty gritty, and I took it like, what's the big bad, right? I don't know if you're still there because I can't see you at the same time.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I always do that. Like, it will always be one step ahead. Do you want me to do this? No. We have to go back, and I always ignore what it says. Do you want to? And just here, we need to reinvestigate. We need to go through this book by book, or the overarching. We need to go slower. I always need to go slower than the AI wants to.
Yeah, I think that is one of the key things of working with AI. A lot of people take that first idea and they're like, that's good enough. Let's just keep expanding on that. But this is a new strategy of where, like, you're like, no, I need you to go back to the top level again. We need to still work on some of these elements. So I asked for 5 ideas because I really wasn't sure what I wanted. So this is what it came up with. Broken bargain with the swamp. Notes on how their mother and Meemaw failed them. That the mothers tried to use swamp magic for selfish survival, keeping men, money, or health, which corrupted the spells and got them killed. Meemaw hardened herself, refused to use magic at all, and raised the girls with discipline instead of warmth. This spoke to me. Parts of this spoke to me, of like broken terms a little bit more every generation. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Family curse of souring. Everything sours when they do magic. The mothers leaned into their magic without restraint, souring their marriages, finances, and health until it destroyed them. Meemaw went the other way. She tried to control everything, chain smoking, bitterness, iron fist, teaching the girl that love spoils, so they grow up starved of affection. Like, okay, I like that too. The Lost Witch. One ancestor, maybe tied to Grace Sherwood or another real witch case, was drowned or bound in the swamp, and each generation was supposed to free her, but failed. Until she's freed, her bitterness poisons the family line. That was an okay storyline too. It just wasn't the one I wanted to do. Inheritance of silence. The real curse isn't the swamp, it's secrets. Oh. Each generation kept the truth of the magic, the bargains, and their mistakes hidden from the next, believing silence would keep the daughter safe. Instead, silence left them unprepared. Like, okay, that's interesting. And then this one, the woman's power is only whole when shared between sisters and cousins, but every generation before them was divided by jealousy, rivalry, betrayals. Meemaw reinforced division. And so then it was like, okay, the second chance romance cannot work until the family curse is broken. Do you want me to map? And I was like, no. Let's think of bigger reasons the riches would come to America in the first place, and how mistakes were made in the Lost Colony. Like maybe it was a secret pact between the witches and Jamestown Colony to protect the waterway, etc. So this is where I'm coming up with the mythic backstory. And it says that's the scope of practical magic or the witching hour. So I'm getting on track of like, why were the witches even here? Because I liked some of these 5. I liked elements of the first 3.
I
But
was about to say, I would even, what I often do is tell it to take, I like this from the first one, this from the second one, this from the third one. And that also gave me ideas 4, 5, and 6. Now let's put those together.
yes. And for me, what happened to me is like, I couldn't decide which one I liked until I started exploring, like, why are the witches even here in the first place? Like, what the heck happened? And so this is where it came from, should be tied to the very founding of America, but hidden, feminine, and magical, and not written into the history books. This spoke to me very, very highly. So here's some big secret histories. So Roanoke didn't vanish. They were given to the swamp. Early witches struck a bargain to anchor themselves in the New World in exchange for safety from storms, disease, or attack. The swamp demanded souls. The colony's disappearance is really the witches' failed or corrupted ritual. By the time Jamestown was founded, the witches were already in the tidewater. The colony secretly tolerated them because the witches promised protection of the waterway and crops. They didn't understand that the swamp always collects interest. It remembers every broken bargain. That debt has been carried by their descendants. Here's why I liked that one. And again, it has to go with where I grew up. Where I live doesn't have hurricanes very often. The Outer Banks really hits them, and then they spin off into the sea. Like the Hampton Roads area is one of the largest natural protected harbors. I know, Stacey, you were stationed here at one point in the Navy.
Mhm.
We have a big part of our fleet here. Like, that's why the Navy is here in Norfolk and everything like that. And we also have things like Willoughby Spit happened in the 1600s, where dude man Willoughby, his wife woke up one day, and the account goes, and there was land where the night before there wasn't land, so they immediately ran to the governor and like got a land grant for it. And that piece of land is still there, sticking off of Ocean View, which they have houses and stuff there. And I'm like, guys, this land wasn't here 300 years ago, and now it's here. I don't know, but it might not stay. So there's a lot of things about living in this really weird area of Hampton Roads, Virginia. And so I know this growing up here. So I liked this idea, and I could see, Diddy Bop in the colony. They did stop here, but they went further out the river to be safe. And I'm like, oh, I could add to that they talked to the witches, and the witches were like, we'll protect you. Ha ha ha. Go up north. Okay, so they needed control. The witches bound themselves to the marshlands, but they overreached. They promised too much. Crops soured, etc. The pact was signed in blood on both sides, but men's written law outlasted the witches' oral spells. Over generations, the witches lost their titles and lands. The swamp held them accountable, not the colonists. I was like, well, how about them apples? I like that too. But then this one. Grace Sherwood wasn't the first witch. She was the last visible one. And I was like, oh, yes. Her trial in 1706, the family of swamp witches had already retreated underground. Grace's ducking wasn't just a test of guilt, it was a magical binding to the water. She carried the unfinished bargain of Roanoke, Jamestown into the swamp itself. The earlier witches thought they could tether their power to one woman as a scapegoat. Instead, Grace's suffering cursed all of her descendants with souring magic. I'm not quite going that far. It's more about this idea of the process of what the ritual is. So you'll see how that inspires this. And then there's the living memory, and then the divided covenant. So I come up with, okay, let's think about Grace Sherwood being the last visible. And now in 2025, the wards and protection is failing. But consider Grace was tried, ducked, found guilty, survived, got her lands back, and lived to 80. What is the threat now to the women? And what is something they could sacrifice in the story akin to Grace Sherwood to renew the protections? So this is where I was taking bits of real history. The AI wants to come up with just all bad. But I think like the best story situations are where things could be all good, or like it could go good, it could go bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about how many deals you make with a swamp, but somehow I think that those have like a 50-50 shot of being good or bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't make a deal if it was just bad.
If it was just bad. Exactly. So, and I brought up this, Grace Sherwood being tried, ducked, found guilty, but then showing that she had the happy thing going on here. So this is where it kind of gets a little bit interesting. And I had these thoughts of like, wait a minute, she did the thing, but she got good stuff. So maybe that ducking was something other than what the humans thought it was. And the AI picked right up on it. Love where you're heading. Grace Sherwood is the perfect as the last visible witch. Her historical resilience is unusual, almost mythic. In your world, her survival and return to her land isn't just luck, it's the keystone of the covenant. She endured humiliation and near death, but her sacrifice bound protections around the land and her bloodline. Now in 2025, the protections are fraying. So I was like, okay, now we're starting to get this. Now we're starting to get here. The debt has come due. It bought 300 years of relative safety, but the time has expired. 2006 pardon. The swamp now demands something more. Or it got hooked on this Wardstones. I got rid of the Wardstones. I was like, nope, don't like it. And I'm not bringing in Elizabeth Hill's descendants because I'm saving that for if I like this thing, probably won't. But if I do decide to write books 4, 5, and 6 of these witches living in the community, I would use the descendants of the woman who assaulted Grace Sherwood as the big bad in that series. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or someone else can pick it up at this point.
Yep. So here's the thing. This is where I narrowed in on. It's got to echo Grace's situation. Humiliation, drowning, lose something deeply personal. Because Grace lost her husband, she faced humiliation, and she risked drowning. So that's what it had. So giving up the thing she most wants, her rekindled romance or something like that. And then this kind of started me thinking about, I need to come up with a way that these women are stronger, like if Grace represents her generation's ability to come out stronger, these women have to have a way to come out stronger, but I didn't have an idea yet. So, but I did like the symbolic exchange. So this became definitely a core crux of it. And then I'm like, okay, now we start doing aging. Now I want you to notice I don't have any names at this point. No names of characters. I got Meemaw and then the 2 sisters and a cousin, and then they had mothers who died. That's who I got.
Well, a lot of times that's what people jump to first, and they
Yeah.
get so hung up on that, but that has nothing to do with the character themselves.
Right. And I
Figure out the
had,
character, you can tack you can put a name to it later. That's not important.
yeah, when you see the names I give them, I think it'll make sense. So 45, 43, and 38. So the cousin is 43 in the middle. So let's have the women were orphaned when the eldest was 11. So the youngest was 4. And so that the cousin was 9. How might the mothers have failed in 91, 92? And are there any major storms or events that might tie to it or something close and we can adjust it? I lived here at that time, but I do remember like a big blizzard and things like that, but I didn't know the years. So I was just like picking a year out of my head, but it actually worked really well because it turns out we had a really bad nor'easter in December. To the point that it did like 48 inches of snow in Maryland. So I was like, cool, that works. So the mothers failed. They had the botch ritual. I wasn't too full for that. And the 1992 failure weakened Grace Sherwood's protections. I'm not going to have it weakened. It kind of like, I would say like it did like a small patch kind of a thing.
Yeah, it tracks.
Yeah, it actually, later on, I'll go ahead and reveal. As I was working with this, I needed to make Meemaw sympathetic, like a reason for why she was such a hard line. And once I got to the end of it, that's when I realized that Meemaw sacrificed her daughters in 92 when they couldn't get the spell. And that's what hardened her. Because I know, right? I was like, oh man, Meemaw, I'm sorry I ever disliked you. But the truth is, hurt people hurt people. So in order for Meemaw to have hurt these girls, and she did, she had to have been hurt. So this is where we are couch psychologists as authors. Okay, so the mother's failure in 1992 would become the ancestral wound. Do you want to do a mini history? And I was like, yes. And any storms in the grandmother's timeline. Maybe the girls in the modern times can learn of the grandmother's sister who is still alive. I just threw the grandmother having a sister still alive. And it was like, perfect. Layering the grandmother's generation deepens the story. It gives you that haunted family history. Feel Alice Hoffman does so well. With a living relative, can act as a truth teller or wild card. Let's map it all out. Okay, so we have the 1600s, and this is all I had earlier this morning where I was like, Stacey, I'm going to do 3 timelines. The 1600s, the grandmother's time, the mother's time, and then the modern times. So Meemaw was born in the 30s. Hurricane Connie Diane in 1955, flooding in Virginia. Meemaw's first real brush with magic. She and her sisters do a ritual. Meemaw survives. Her sister refuses to finish the spell. I actually decided it made the sister mad, so she had to go live inland. In 1962, Meemaw loses her husband in the chaos. Could be a literal drowning. And then the living sister, I actually made her a little bit younger so that way she could be younger in the story. So she just was too young. And then the sisters, 1992, they orphaned the girls. Then now they're doing their thing. And so we're building this up. And it is, like it says, her presence lets you braid 3 timelines together. Grace, Meemaw, and the mothers all converging on 2025. So now we have book 1, book 2, book 3. So book 1, the heroines uncover the mother's failure. Book 2, they learn of Meemaw's and her sister's failure. And then book 3, they finally grasp Grace Sherwood's ordeal and they must echo it to renew the protections. So I was close to that. And I was like, okay, hold on. Let's have the Meemaw sister was younger, only 14, and the spell addled her. So she had to go live inland with relatives. The area of Pungo is historically poor, and I want the girls to have grown up poor. But reality is something like the land is the value and their magic. They will never starve. We need to think about the world of magic and what and why witchcraft stays with them. Maybe witchcraft feels good, better than sex, better than a warm hug. So the girls who always had powers are finding them again in Virginia stronger and learning the sister of Meemaw cannot do magic, but she remembers and knows things, and she came because of Meemaw's death. I don't know how the AI made any sense of that, but it did.
I would just like to point out before we go further, so you're also showing how to build all this up, which is great, but also all of this should not go in the blueprint.
No.
A lot of this you're building up to get to the next point, and then the tip of the pyramid is what goes into the blueprint.
I would go through this and pull out what I agreed on, what I finalized on.
Even that, like, necessarily, like, you don't need 100% of the backstory in there. A lot of the backstory, you're doing it for your understanding to get to the next idea, to get to how it affects current. And
I'll be showing that tomorrow. Like, so my plans for the book camp for me is I'll be working in the morning on this, getting everything solidified for book 1, getting everything solidified for book 2, book 3, and then basically Sunday night is when I'll let YFD run all the books.
Yep. So those are just 2 common errors on either side: stopping too early, not getting enough information, going through the process, but then shoving too much information into the blueprint that isn't necessary. Not
at all. In fact, a lot of this is for me.
Yeah.
So we have this information of what we have it. So it starts to kind of decide different things here, or just it's really just reiterating things that we've already decided on. And as I'm looking at this, developers, external threat, etc., addiction to magic, internal threat, the living aunt is the mirror. Each book can showcase the field of magic. And I said, I like the idea of the sacrifice of reputation in book 1. Book 2, sacrifice of safety, should be the aunt sacrificing herself. And then in book 3, I love this. This is where I finally got it. I finally understood this is the point where I got it. I got the series. I like the idea of the sacrifice of reputation in book 1. Book 2, sacrifice of safety, should be the aunt sacrificing herself. And in book 3, when the women are finally feeling success, they argue back against the swamp and decide it's time for new terms, because the swamp needs them or it will be gone. It isn't 1589. The humans will drain it and kill it, so the women must be allowed to love and prosper as part of a new deal to always protect the swamp.
I like that. Especially after killing off all the moms. At least you can do with...
Exactly. But it took me that long to get there. Well, everything I did with the AI, even the bad ideas, even the ideas I did not like, it started to make me realize that for modern audiences to love this, what we really, really love is when we can talk back to the magic and smack it around a little bit, hold up. You can kill us, but then the humans are definitely going to drain you.
Yeah.
And then this is what I got from the AI.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
That's gorgeous. You just defined a perfect trilogy spine. The women moving from powerless heirs of a bargain to negotiators who rewrite the covenant itself. But I couldn't get there at the beginning. I had to go through all of this to kind of like noodle it, you know? Let's lock this in. So it comes up with this stuff, the sour bargain. Okay. One of the sisters is publicly humiliated. And so it gave me this idea. And then I started building off of this. And I was like, hold up. I think we probably need to name the characters to make this helpful. Can you come up with 5 names for each of them? Please make sure the last names sound like the area, Kellum and Cox, etc. So it did use all of that. I actually only used these names. I used Dot and Ruthie Kellum. I liked those. I almost used Inez and Pearl, Bonnie, and we have a Bonnie Road here. The mother's generation who died, I actually named them completely different from this. I'll show you their names. The eldest sister, the middle cousin, and the youngest sister. It came up with some different names here, but I changed those as well. That's not where I went with it. But I could see the names I didn't like. So then I did do some research and I really thought about it and I kind of came up with their names. Okay, so here's what I got. I like Dot and Ruthie pair. And I think part of the scandal can be that the deaths that happened on the property in 1991, 1992 were always suspicious. Maybe there's a local interest in the cold case that humiliates the women. Because the first sacrifice is reputation. What would be more sacrificing than you go back for Meemaw's funeral and now they're drudging up the murders of your mother, the deaths of your mother and aunt.
Yeah.
That would be pretty humiliating. The mother generation is Sylvia and Joyce. Sylvia was older. There needs to be a scandal and debts and really bad things. Think poor white trash. And I want the two sisters to be different fathers. And the women are Jennifer. She's born in 1980. Okay. Your choices are Jessica, Jennifer,
Tiffany.
Right?
Yep. Tiffany.
Yes. And the cousin is Amanda, which means loving. And she's the one in the middle. And then I needed the younger sister's name to sound like a wild child. So she's Naomi. And Jennifer and Naomi are 7 years apart. So I wanted their names to not sound like they go together.
Yep.
I know this sounds really strange, but there was like 3 Jennifers and 2 Amandas in my class. There was only one Naomi. So it's really clicking into place. We're not doing whimsical witches, but women clawing survival out of poverty and gossip. So it started to structure this. So now I have this list. So this is what I copied and I kept this. So I have this stuff to start building out my structure. Did the sisters drown by accident? Was it murder, suicide? A fight turned deadly with the storm covering it up? Gossip whispers that Sylvia owed money. Joyce had bruises. The men they were involved with were always dangerous. The cold case was never solved. The heroines generation, Jennifer Jen Kellum. She is practical. She is a lawyer. She works hard to escape her labels of poor. Dragged out in a true crime. And then Amanda Doyle, she's the one in the middle. So she was there. And then Naomi is the accident baby. So she is estranged from her sisters, whimsical and rebellious, and returns home reluctantly, reconnects through magic. So I didn't have any of this when I started. I didn't have any of these ideas. So it's like the family history is messy and believable. It's like, just they're buying lottery tickets at 7-Eleven.
Yep.
Which I don't have an issue with because that's what my parents did. And I have a sister who does that. So it's like a detailed scandal dossier. So it, excuse me, it builds this up. Known for being wild in high school, boyfriends, bar fights, skipped bills. Joyce Kellum, she was the good sister. She worked part-time, but she was always with Sylvia. She had suspicious marks on her arms and her face, but they wrote it off as storm debris injuries, but locals whispered otherwise. So we have all this information. I would expand on this some more, that Jen at 11, she would have remembered the shouting, the smell of liquor, and her mother slipping out into the storm. Her humiliation in 2025 comes when a podcaster plays her childhood testimony, suggesting that children were neglected. Amanda woke to find her mother gone. Neighbors claim she was wandering in the flood barefoot. The detail haunts her as a mark of shame. Naomi was 4. She barely remembers anything but being carried to safety. Grew up being told she was the mistake baby from a different father. So, I mean, that's some good conflict, I think, for those girls growing up in a harsh house. So, so it has this, and I was like, we need that to be a later issue in book 1. The inciting incident is Meemaw dies. Amanda's always lived in Virginia Beach, and she has a life there. Jennifer left and is a lawyer in Richmond. Naomi is like her mother and ran wild. Jennifer was already a lawyer when Naomi ran off, and the last to leave Meemaw's house. So it starts to build this up. And so then I started working on this, and I'm going to kind of skip down because we're running out of time here.
I was just looking, I'm like, you're like a quarter of the way down the page.
I know. So then it has the podcast. So what I ultimately come up with, I'm going to just stop the share so that I can talk here, is I worked in this layering thing. And the idea here is that the book 1 is going to actually be from Amanda's point of view, mostly. But the other girls have chapters in there too. So it is going to be third person, so not first person. So I'm setting up this idea that Amanda's living there. You know, she... I actually had shower thoughts getting ready for this podcast. I'm going to change this thing that I'm going to change it even to chapter 1 being Momaw's 80th birthday. And Amanda is celebrating with the caretaker, and she invited the sisters to come, and they don't. And Jen basically like sends a nice gift or something. She can't come down from Richmond for it. So that's the birthday party and stuff like that. And Meemaw is trying to tell her stuff, but Amanda's like, okay, whatever. And she goes to work because she's a manager of a hotel down at the ocean front. And I like this idea of juxtaposing the ocean from the swamp. So Amanda actually pulls magic from the ocean a little bit, but it's like chaotic, Quixotic. It's fickle. The ocean magic is fickle. It's like she's lucky. You know, it's nothing sustained. It's not like the swamp, which is always just there. It's the ocean is constantly changing. So she has always felt really comfortable being at the ocean, and she doesn't even realize like that's where she gets her luckiness from. So then the second chapter is Jen getting called that Meemaw has died from the caregiver and all that. So Jen is being called out of court. She's like, I'm not going to, but her partner is like, dude, you have more PTO than anyone. You need to go. And so chapter 3 is actually going to be Jen calling Amanda after a day or two and being like, hey, Meemaw died. And then Amanda's all in her feels about, what do you mean? Why are you telling me? And she's like, well, I got here. I assumed you would be here every day, but you're not. And so it's already tension. And then they're going to find out the magic. Like they're going to go to the attic and they're going to have a magical experience. And they basically are like, we're not telling Naomi. Because and so then the next morning, Naomi shows up with a boyfriend in tow. And that's the end of Act 1. So I'm like, this is great. And I wanted to do ward stones, but the big thing here is bottles. Like, so I'm coming up with this whole magic system of like, it's all about bottles and like memory. They kept memories in bottles, and they did this as a kid, and then Meemaw took it away from them. So basically they've always had magic. It just kind of got suppressed. So this is all going to be about them finding out their magic too.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
So yeah, I'm excited. I am so excited about the story now. I'm just like, this is going to be great. So, and then in the second book, the end of the first book is when the aunt shows up and she's like, I know what happened. There's some good lines in there too of like, they're going to find out from Dot, that's Meemaw, in her journals that she's going to write about the girls hating her, but she's like, better they hate me than hunger. And because she's really strict and everything like that to make sure that they always have enough on their plates and things like that. I'm like, oh man, this is some women's fiction stuff.
Yep, that is squarely in women's fiction.
Yeah, so I don't want to say that I was disappointed to see some of the more lighthearted stuff out there. I mean, that's great and that's fine. But for me personally, with all the drama I carry around, I was like, nah, I need some catharsis. I need some dark, deep stuff to like talk about, work that in.
Dark women's fiction, but
Huh?
not the dark women's fiction.
Yeah, well, but I mean, there's things
It's a completely different type of dark, though.
yeah, my dad was military. Okay. So growing up, I there was a lot of time I spent with just my mother and my sisters, and I have memories of things that happened that when I got older, I learned a whole new context to. Like, for example, my Aunt Sandy lived with us when my cousin Nicholas was born. She actually lived in this room that I'm in right now. This was her room. And Nicholas came home from the hospital here, because his dad was out to sea. Well, years before that, she'd always lived with us off and on. Like, I can remember many times that Aunt Sandy was living with us, and then she would be poof gone, and then she'd be back with us, and then poof gone. I can remember one time where all I remembered was the stress. Like when you're a kid, you only know when your parents are like upset or whatever. And I remembered my mom having to get a neighbor to like watch us because she had to go, and she had to go get my aunt. She was working at a bar called Blue Suede Shoes, and she was drugged with a roofie. It wasn't, yeah. So, but because she worked there, she was protected and everything, and my mom could go get her. But I also remember when my Uncle Bruce like wrecked the van in Pungo. And like, there's so many stories from when I was a kid that I'm like, yeah, drunk parents from the 70s and 80s, not the greatest parents. They did some crazy stuff. They may not have had Facebook, but I remember.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, y'all. You gave me a little bit of women's fiction, and I'm like, and welcome to my therapy session. But hopefully what they saw from the prompting is that you can build and build and build. Now, you do this with AI too, but you do it step by step.
Yes, I do it in a much more, I almost want to say structured way, just because I don't come out with as big of a brain dump. So if you don't have the ideas, how do you layer it on? Or if you get stuck, what else do I need? I need more to fill this. Because as an early writer, what the problems I always had is even when I thought I outlined it all out, it still felt flat. I always needed, I didn't have subplots in there. I didn't have overarching plot or conflicts throughout the series. So now with AI, it's so much easier to, how do I layer that in?
Yeah, give me 5 ideas on how to make this character well-rounded.
Yeah. So this is especially good with the trilogy now, because that's built-in subplots. Okay, here are characters for 2 and 3. How are they showing up in book 1? And how is a subplot going to go through and have them emerge as the main characters next book? So it's I don't even want to say a slower process, because you almost take the curly Q route where I have to take the baby step route.
Yeah, I have to act like it's my writing room in a way. And I have to like bounce ideas off of it. I have to say, hey, I want this. Oh no, I hate all of those. Do this. And then I'm like, okay, now we need to focus on this. And it doesn't necessarily know what I like and what I don't like, but I was able to build from that. And then I'm pulling information from that. I haven't decided if I want to do 30 chapters or 40 chapters. I think I'm going to end up with 40 chapters because I want it long. Like, I want these to be chunkers. They need to be chunky books. April says that she's a pantser, and she gives AI the bare bones of my ideas and then talk back and forth until we get something to work with. Yeah, a lot of people think that I'm not a pantser. I'm just a very fast pantser. I think that's what it is. I'm a like blitzkrieg pantser, because I'm someone who can have 6 ideas in 30 seconds before I've even finished talking. And then I just have to sort through them. Don't pantsers do that?
Pantsers usually start writing, and just the ideas come as they're writing. I guess you could be whatever type of pantser it's your decision.
Yeah, I have ideas. I don't like to start writing because I literally see the whole story as movie in my head. So I play the movie in my head, and that's I guess that's my pantsing writing thing. So then I'm like, nope. Like literally the movie played in my head about she's at the hotel. I could even know what the smell of that is, and kind of like the mustiness on the walls, and like how it always kind of feels a little bit damp. And then like the call and all of these things. And then I was like, nope, rewind. 80th birthday, and like the little like 2-bedroom shack that is out in Pungo, out in Back Bay, and I'll make the house basically like a very simple Cape Cod. So it has like a kitchen, a living room, 2 bedrooms, and then an attic. So very, very simple setting. I don't even know how they're all going to stay there. We'll figure that out. Oh, I could use magic. That would be funny. That would be fun. Is like, I guess, see, I already got ideas. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Oh, wait, I'll fix it this way. Naomi's the wild child. And she could be like, oh, I got magic. Now I got a master bedroom. Oh, and Naomi's thing is like, for the women, it costs them kind of like the soured milk, but I wanted modern problems. So I was like, we need modern problems. So it's like the cell phone won't charge all of a sudden, or the laptop's frizzled. Naomi doesn't have consequences to her magic, so she seems, because there's nothing for her to lose. She lives her life so chaotically that there's nothing in her possession, which she basically learned from her mother inadvertently. But that's why I'm going to have, like, what went wrong with that is that basically the swamp eventually got to the point that it was going to take the young girls because of Sylvia constantly casting magic when she shouldn't and not paying a cost. It got to the point, well, the only thing that she cares about is these girls. And that's what Joyce was trying to stop, to protect her nieces. And ultimately, Meemaw had to sacrifice. I'm going to have that Sylvia kills Joyce in a like really crazed rage, and Meemaw sacrifices Sylvia because she doesn't want to sacrifice her young granddaughters. She basically makes the hard decision that her daughter messed all this up, and unfortunately, there's nothing that she can do.
I think that's also, we have difference in plotting styles, or like, because like, I think we've discussed this before. I have almost a version of like aphantasia. I don't see movies in my head. I can't.
Right.
It just doesn't work. So I'm thinking in words and blocks. Like, it doesn't build that way in my head. So I have to build it much slower and step by step. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I always have a Oscar-winning movie in my head. Yeah, but it's like fuzzy. It's not like I can't tell you the actors or actresses who are playing it. I just see kind of like Meemaw being nondescript. I can see her hair being the gray and pulled up really tight in the bun thing, the back. Like I can see little pieces of details, but I don't see the faces of the.
I can't see things moving. So
yeah, I have an overactive imagination. All right. Well, we are at 2 hours. So what song? I want to thank everyone for coming. Sorry if this wasn't as helpful for people, but you do have access to the entire conversation, so you can see everything that I prompted and what I did with the ChatGPT. This isn't rocket science. To me, it isn't, but hopefully it gave some insights on how you can work with AI to try to get it to go a little bit deeper, how to scratch, because honestly, the first thing it gave me, that on the surface, that seems like a really strong story, like plop, 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 and this is what happens. But I think where AI really misses the boat is motivations. What do these characters want? What do they need? And yeah, I think that this is going to be very fun.
Yeah. So I'm excited for those of you who are in Mastermind or Accelerator, or those of you who have signed up for book camps. It is tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern time.
Yep.
Figure that out on your own. There should be a course in your Teachable. A couple people have messaged me. I'll make sure it gets added to yours, but I've given you the Zoom link, and we'll see you then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting late my time, so if you message me, I will get you the Zoom link before it starts tomorrow morning.
And we can go do an after party in the lab room real fast. I'll do an after party for a little bit. But the deal for the after party is that you guys are just body doubling with me so I can clear. I had these delusions that I was going to organize all my laundry, so there's laundry on my bed. So I will talk with you guys while I clear off my bed. I had plans. I did do a load of laundry today. I did do a load of laundry and put it away. I'm very proud of myself. What song do we want? Oh, I don't know.
Why is there pancakes?
Oh, yeah, those are the videos that I made with
Let's go out on no, I don't want to go out.
No. Those are $90. Those are $90 pancake videos.
Oh no.
I accidentally spent $90 thinking the AI was going to be cheaper for the VO3, and it was not. I made a whole bunch of pancake videos, 16 to be sure. I lost the other 12. Those are the only 4. Those are the most expensive pancake videos on the planet. So,
well, we better show them off every video then, so we can start earning the money back for those. like our pancakes.
like our pancakes, please. That's how we did all of that. All right, I will go ahead and play a song to leave us out. Thank you, Elizabeth. Will you next show how you're going to work with this plot? That will be at noon tomorrow. So noon and 8 p.m. tomorrow Eastern time, and then Sunday noon and 8. And then I'm hoping by Sunday night to have all 3 outlines ready, good to go, to go ahead and run them in your first draft tomorrow night. So that's the goal. All right. I don't even know what some of these songs are. I don't know what U.I is. So we're going to find out what the song is. Ready?
Okay, let's do it.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. First draft. Online. Press play. Blank page panic, not tonight. Blueprint loaded, plotline tight. Beat hits hard, cursor lights. 40 chapters, 2 hours right. Scene by scene, we lock it in. Hook so clean, they pull you in. Character drip, arcs on spin. Turn the bass up, let's begin. Press start, watch a world appear. Click once, now the story's here. Super fun, super easy, dear. Let the chorus make it clear. Plug the blueprint, let it fly. 40 chapters, 2 hours slides. Your first draft out of eye. Fun and easy, watch it come alive. Write it faster than the night. Raise the rhythm, catch the light. Your first draft out of eye. Turn the page while the bass bites. Write it, write it. Write it, write it. Write it, write it. Got it, got it. Write it, write it. Write it, write it. Write it, write it. Blueprint, guide it, guide it. Authors in the booth with a plot that slabs. Beat sheet snapping like hi-hat claps. Stack those scenes like a DJ said. Clip at the end, say let's reset. Timeline tight, we never lag. Chapter by chapter, tag by tag. Cursor dancing in neon haze. 2-hour novel, hit that phase. Click sync, let the music stream. Easy mode, on your writing dream. Super fun, super clean, supreme. Say the name with me. Plug the blueprint, let it fly. 40 chapters, 2 hours slides. Your first draft out of eye. Fun and easy, watch it come alive. Light it faster than the night. Raise the rhythm, catch the light. Your first draft out of eye. Turn the page while the bass bites. I'll bring the beat. I set the place. I set the dots. Load the plan. Unlock the gate. 2-hour book. We don't be late. Blueprint. Lock it. Cursor. Rock it. Story. Drop it. Banger. Stop it. Right. Write it on the fly. Watch the pages multiply. Fun and easy vibes. Club light storyline. Plug the blueprint, let it fly. 40 chapters, 2 hours fly. Your first draft out of eye. Fun and easy, watch it come alive. Write it faster than the night. Read the rhythm, catch the light. Your first draft out of eye. Turn the page while the bass bites.
All right, everyone. See you tomorrow at noon. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope to see you in the accelerator or in the boot camp. And then otherwise, until next Friday, when the great Ikela will be back, we'll see you then. Bye.